Yes, Mr. President, I would like to address the body.
Please proceed.
Today, I stand with a pretty heavy heart. Every session, people ask us what our priority is going to be, and I've always had this running joke is that the session will let me know what my priority is going to be. It depends on what is happening, and then it depends on what comes up. And unfortunately, this year, I have taken on an issue that I wish that I had not had to take on. Last week, I stood with several families, had a press conference with several families. Those families had a loved one to lose their lives in a detention center or a prison here in Kentucky. There's been a lot of media around different deaths that has been in our local jails and our local prisons. This morning on my way to Frankfort, driving is where we do most of our phone calls, Mr. President, I received a phone call that there was another individual that lost their life in the Louisville Metro Detention Center last night. I had a call scheduled. I took it on my way in. It was already a scheduled call. And it was a young lady who's been in the media. Her husband has lost his life, Robert Tony Broyles Jr. It's all been in the media. And I had this call with Ashley to just learn more about the story. And talking to her, I found out that she's actually one of my constituents. Last week when I stood with the families, I stood with the family of Deon Watts. I grew up with Deon Watts. Knew his whole family or still know their own family. That happened in Madison County. And what I've learned over the last week of standing with families and receiving phone calls is the area in which I represent in Jefferson County is the #1 leading deaths in Kentucky of folks who are incarcerated. And my small county of Madison County, where I'm from, is #2. And as I've taken calls over the last couple of weeks, I've also learned that 3 of those individuals who died in the Madison County Detention Center are people that I know. I knew that they had lost their lives, but I did not know that I was connected to their family, Mr. President. Sometimes life is very interesting why we get put in the positions that we get put into. And I also would like to share with you all in 2023 here when I was in the House, I actually served on the jail and prison task force. You may ask me, well, why are you telling us all of these different things? I say that to say that now what is happening in our jails and prisons has now become a priority for me. And when I talk to people and they ask me what I do, I honestly would prefer not that be my priority. Last week, I filed 3 pieces of legislation. One is a Senate joint resolution that is asking for a task force for us to study and look at the different community response models. We know that we've got a lot of folks who have mental health issues who end up in our jails and prisons. But we also know that there's a lot of jurisdictions across Kentucky. They're doing great work. They've hired social workers. They're doing great things to make sure that not only the people in their communities have the things that they need, but also that law enforcement and other folks have the things that they need. So that's Senate Joint Resolution 110. I also filed Senate Bill 208. And that bill would require reporting of those deaths that happen upon arrest and inside our facilities. And I also filed Senate Bill 209, Mr. President. And that bill was very similar to that we have here in Kentucky, the review around child fatalities. That would be very similar to that, except it would be dealing with folks who are incarcerated. I know that we're halfway through the session, and again, we all have our priorities. But I also know that there's going to be some legislation that we're going to be seeing from the House around education in our prisons, which I support. There's going to be a bill that we're coming to see about regional jails and what we need to do to fix our jail systems. As we talk about these different things, we have to think about what we're doing to keep people safe. And when I think about the safety, Mr. President, I'm not only talking about the individuals who are incarcerated, but I'm also talking about our staff, our workers. Because of the trauma that they are having to deal with, if our folks who are in custody are not safe, then the people who are working there are not safe. And so as you all go about the things that you're doing, the priorities that you have, because we have all of them, I just want us to remember, we cannot make changes to our local jails and our prison system if we are not addressing the issue that people are losing their lives by overdose, people are losing their lives by suicide, and people are being murdered inside our facilities. And it's our job as state legislators and the government to keep all people safe.